Welcome to American Dreams, Keys to Success, with your host, Alan Olson.
Welcome back. Today we have with us John Kogan. He's the CEO and co-founder of Performative Incorporated right here in Silicon Valley. John, welcome to today's show.
Thanks so much for having me here, Alan.
So, John, who mainly uses Performative?
Performative is primarily used by folks in the finance, accounting, treasury, and related corporate functions. So that's CFOs, corporate controllers, VPs of finance, treasurers, and then the multitudes that work with them.
Give me some background on how this company came about and started, and what gave it the your motivation to move into this company.
You bet. Well, actually, my backstory happens to be the backstory of Performative. I've been in finance and accounting and related fields for over 20 years. I've been a CFO 4 times, and I was at CFO at a tech company in Silicon Valley, a very traditional software company backed by one of the biggest VCs in the world. And that VC invited me to their annual CFO get-together. Unlike the CEO get-togethers, there's very low rent affair, appropriate for us CFOs who are always minding the dollars. But I walked into a room with 40-plus CFOs, and I realized what a waste it was that we didn't exist for one another outside of this 2-hour coffee once a year. And boy, couldn't we help one another out if we were actually sharing and collaborating with all of our joint knowledge. Now, at the same time, I happen to be an avid motorcyclist, and I belong to a number of online motorcycling forums. And I have what I refer to as my Reese's peanut butter moment, where the chocolate hit the peanut butter, and I said, aha. CFOs, online communities, and I put those two together, requested permission to build an online group of the 40-plus CFOs, and it simply took off. And on their best day, McKinsey, God love them, could not provide the advice and insight at any price that we had for free and on tap 24/7 as 40 CFOs sharing this online community. That was the genesis of Performative. Performative is that times 100,000. We're very large now. We're a global company. And we're still in the business of helping professionals in the finance and related arenas get together online, ask questions, share knowledge, and it's an amazing and simply unparalleled resource.
Seems to be the way of the future, to use technology as the venue for scaling companies.
You bet it is, and also as a way for people to communicate. Of course, we see that daily in Facebook and all these other online communities. The business community has lagged the consumer community, understandably. Consumers tend to try a lot of things out and stub their toes, but it is a highly effective medium for people to communicate and share knowledge in the business realm.
Just to clarify then, are you education or are you more of an open forum for a think tank?
Great question. So we're really more of an open forum. My company, Performative, does not actually answer people's questions. The community answers the community's own questions. We also have a whole host of subject matter experts that we bring in to help facilitate getting answers. For instance, a very typical question from a CFO might be, the preamble would be, my board has told me or my CEO has told me that we're opening a subsidiary in Hong Kong. How do I do that? Well, the fact is there are thousands of CFOs worldwide who have done that, but you haven't done that before. Where would you get that knowledge quickly from a variety of viewpoints and for free? Well, Performative is where you would ask that question, and you would get the answer from corporate controllers and VPs of finance and CFOs and even legal experts and others. And it's just an amazingly unique and uniquely useful resource for folks. Very practical.
Yeah, that's good. So taking advantage of people who have been through the learning curve before.
Precisely.
Now, how do you deal with the confidentiality aspect there?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. And I get that all the time, so that's really spot on. Number one, 98% of what we're dealing with as CFOs is non-confidential. How can I improve my accounts receivable collection? Or even things like, how do I open a subsidiary in Hong Kong? Other than the fact that you might be thinking of opening a subsidiary in Hong Kong, all of the other elements around that are non-confidential. Now, we do allow anonymous posting on the site. We monitor that very carefully. We keep all noise out of the site. We don't want any selling or self-promotion. So we keep an eye on that, but we do allow people to post anonymously if they want to keep the name of their company or themselves out of the open community.
And your revenue model is subscription-based?
It's actually not. Another good question. Everything we do is free for our users, without exception. And the people who pay the freight are the sponsors. So we'll do events, they'll be sponsored. And we also will have a number of online avenues through which we collect revenue. We have an online marketplace. It's kind of like Yelp, where people can rate companies and service providers, and our users go there to find products and service providers. So these are the things that folks pay us for. So essentially, sponsors pay everything. Users get a free ride.
I'm visiting here today with John Kogan. He's the CEO and co-founder of Performative, a Silicon Valley company that is focused on helping corporate financial leaders using the technology of today and really in a virtual think tank, to say. We'll be back after these messages to visit with him on what he sees for the future.
Protecting your family's health and welfare is a sacred trust. At Greenstein Rogoff Olson Company, we know that sound financial planning will protect them now and in the future. We're certified public accountants with tax services for the highly successful. For your business and your family, call GrowCo.
Greenstein Rogoff Olson Company will help you manage your financial affairs so you can focus on what's really important in life.
GrowCo, helping you along the way.
Apple pie, baseball, and now here's All-American Alan Olson.
Welcome back. I'm visiting here today with John Kogan. He's the CEO and co-founder of Performative, a Silicon Valley company focused on corporate and financial leadership. John, before the break, we were talking about how Performative came about. That you have a great background in the industry as a CFO, and then you transitioned this one over to be the CEO and founder of this company. I understand the Performative hosts CFO conference. Can you tell me what you discussed or the purpose for this conference?
Sure. The purpose of the conference, very simply, is to be a better corporate finance leader, and that includes positions such as treasury, corporate controller, etc. It is invitation only. It's exclusive only to senior finance and related leaders at companies of 100 employees or above. So we really intend to get people with similar backgrounds in a room talking to world-leading experts in their fields of endeavor. So we have professors from Wharton. We have public company CFOs and a whole host of other great folks coming to bring education. It's education only. Like everything Performative does, it's free. So folks just have to get there. It's actually in Chicago in September on the 18th. But it's a great conference focused on how do you become a better, more effective CFO and corporate leader.
So anybody can attend?
You have to be a senior finance or related leader at a company of 100 employees or larger. That's the only qualification. Other than that, we'd love you to come, and you'll be seeing your peers there.
And typically, how many attend these conferences?
So we expect there to be 400 plus of these folks at this conference, plus dozens of related experts in a number of fields. So the program is sponsored by the likes of PricewaterhouseCoopers, Deloitte, Ernst & Young, SAP. They will also be bringing their subject matter experts.
Excellent. I understand that you've been a CFO of several companies prior to this, stepping in with the Performative. From your experience, what can CFOs do to drive the growth of a company?
They can do an awful lot. I think internally in corporations, CFOs are frequently viewed as the people who say no. I think that's unfortunate as a perception. I think it's reality in many cases. But the CFO can actually grease the skids of growth in corporations. We tend to be the process experts. We tend to be the resource people, the get-it-done people at a lot of companies. So if you have a sales organization that isn't firing on all cylinders, well, maybe they need better sales reporting. Perhaps they need better process, better technology to support their operations. Somehow or other, people frequently turn to the office of the CFO for all of those things. Even if we're not trained to be technical leaders, we end up being the people who drive technology through our companies, who are often asked to drive process through our companies. So the CFO, as a business partner to the other leaders in the corporation, can play a pivotal role in finding the right people for the company, creating the right processes to enable success and growth at their corporations. A lot of it's a mindset. You have to get out from behind the green eye shade and be out there as a cheerleader and a driver of growth at your company.
It's interesting. The processes really become paramount to companies as they scale larger in size. Have you ever put a benchmark of, at what point is there a crossover when the processes become more important than the individuals within the company?
I haven't seen a benchmark on that, and my guess is it starts a lot earlier than most people would expect. The processes you put in place from day one at your company will definitively impact how you're growing 5 years from now. And that the same goes with the people that you put in place in your company. Now, there are different processes and different people that tend to be a better fit for early stage company versus late stage company. You have to be cognizant of that. And as the CFO, you drive a lot of the acquisition of your employees and your future leaders. So you do play a pivotal role in driving growth and recognizing what institutions you put in place when and how they need to change over time.
How do you differentiate the role of a CEO from the CFO?
Massively different. In fact, there are just absolute gulfs that lie between them. Now, I've been a CFO 4 times and or chief operating officers, and I've worked with about a half a dozen CEOs, which means I've survived a number of CEOs during my tenures. And the CFO tends to be more of the inward-facing professional. I find that they tend to be the rock, quote unquote, that a lot of companies depend on, the very steady performer, and also the person who is known to get things done. The CEO tends to be more of the visionary. They tend to be more customer-facing, more of a sales and marketing persona than the operational sort of inward-facing persona. So that's those are some of the main differences.
I'm visiting here today with John Kogan. He's the CEO and founder of Performative. John, how does a person get in contact with your company?
Very simple. They can go to www.proformative.com, and they'll find all the contact information they need right there.
John, thank you for joining today's show.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You're listening to American Dreams with Alan Olson on AM 1220 KDOW.